A very jam-packed Friday we definitely do have for you this morning. On the back of talking about art, we come in and talk about literature. This week is International Literacy Week, and we're joined by financial expert, wealth coach, and author Samke Mhlongo, who you're actually going to hear moving forward as a very consistent part of our family and a very consistent voice on the 959 Breakfast show. Pretty much a stakeholder of the show. Good morning, Samke. How are you?
Hey, Samke.
An absolute pleasure, an absolute honor, and congratulations to the two of you for what you've done with this breakfast feature. Like, just constantly trending since you came on. So
Thank you so much.
Samke.
You've been a travel bug. You've been busy traveling the world. Now you're back home and you're starting your day right here on 959, as are our listeners. You've been traveling for what?
Well, in recent histories and in the last few months, I've been based out in the US.
Yeah.
I just needed a bit of an eat, pray, love moment to find myself after going through a very personal trauma. And I packed my bags and I spent 6 months in the US. So I am back home.
Yay!
But I've also set some roots in the US because there's a very serious love interest there. So home is now two places. So
Girl. I love a girl who's okay with, like, you know, the dabble of the professional, the dabble of the romantic, the personal. I love this. You work in wealth and financial spaces, and your work is well documented. But please give us a brief background so our listeners know this new family member that we're onboarding today. They get an idea of your work in that space.
Long story short, I'm in the financial wellness space. I call myself a wealth coach because whether or not you're in debt or whether or not you're saving and investing, you're on your journey to wealth and financial freedom. And so no one wants to see a debt coach, for instance. So I keep it aspirational to say, even though you're sitting thinking to yourself, how do I fix my credit score? You're still on your journey to wealth and you want to fix it because you want to have the capacity to save and invest. But I spent 7 years as a private banker at Investec. I've got 4 qualifications: BCom accounts, postgrad diploma in management, honors in financial planning, and an MBA with a dissertation into the factors contributing to over-indebtedness in Black South African females. Because it's not just financial literacy alone. It's Black tax considerations. It's a lack of investing confidence. So when a financial planner just says, here's the plan I have for you, we say thank you and put the money away without interrogating. Why did you choose the balanced fund instead of the equity fund? So we don't even know the questions to ask. And so we keep quiet, which is actually wealth destroying instead of wealth building. And I always tell people you need to behave as though you're wealthy so that you become wealthy, not wait until you're wealthy to behave as the wealthy. So when you don't understand something, pretend you are Christo Visa or whoever is currently the richest person in South Africa or in the world and say, this doesn't make sense, explain it to me like I'm 5. Have the confidence of a wealthy person in all your dealings and finances.
I like that financial confidence. This is what it sounds like. So you left your 9 to 5, and I love the fact that you fit so well with a community and a messaging around 959ers that we're trying to build, where people like myself, like Sol, like anybody else who's listening, work a 9 to 5, but they don't knock off at 5. When the clock strikes 5, they continue working from 5 to 9 because they're pushing other missions and, you know, other entrepreneurial steps and moves that they're making on the side. You left your 9 to 5, you became an entrepreneur, doing what? Exactly this, wealth coaching?
Exactly this. And funny you mentioned that. By the time I actually left my 9 to 5, I was already matching my salary. So by the time I left the bank, I was actually already making what the bank was paying me from my side hustles. And at that stage, that's when I decided I can now jump ship. And I was doing exactly that. I was doing corporate talks, corporate workshops, one-on-ones, media interviews. At some stage, I was writing for Bona, the feature, the finance column, and I've been on different radio stations as well with the financial feature. So
speaking of writing for Bona, this week is International Literacy Week. I see you've brought some books. Tell us more about your books.
Yes, I brought you guys some gifts. The title of my novel is Ring Fence, and I will sign your copies if you allow me.
Thank you.
Please.
And Ring Fence is, I put the ring on there as a decoy because ring fence is actually an investment banking term. And companies, when going through a risky transaction, will ring fence their most valuable assets, ring fence their most valuable clients and income streams. And so this is a manual for women to see themselves as their most valuable asset and ring fence themselves. So instead of me writing a how-to book on finance, when buying a house, when buying a car, when getting married, when getting divorced, to plan for the potential death of a spouse, I rather used this story inspired by mine and a number of my friends from the African continent to create 4 characters where we actually walk through the characters through life instead of me saying, do this, do that. Because when you're writing a finance book, the person that picks it up is already concerned with their finances. You're preaching to the choir. I wanted to fill this with fashion and travel and all that stuff.
Of course.
For those people that think,
because finances are very closely linked to lifestyle. So if you're gonna write about finances, I always say, when you're speaking to the layman, do your best to not make it top heavy.
Yes.
Make it very relatable.
Yes.
So I can literally place my money in spaces and on things that I am living and experiencing right now, as well as emotions that I'm transitioning through. Because generally we make a lot of our financial decisions based on our emotions at the forefront. If I have a fear of, if I have an excitement of, if I have an interest in, so I'm excited about this. Very groundbreaking. So breaking news and update, you're here. This is what we're telling our listeners. You're part of this family now.
You got me.
You are travula when you visa your stamp all the time.
America,
I will definitely be here regardless of the time zone. That is my commitment. And also, I'm bringing you an international flavor because, to be honest, we are global citizens. We are African at heart, but we are now global citizens with global aspirations. So we need to be having those global conversations. And now we understand the impact of global events on our pockets. We know how Putin deciding to bomb the Ukraine affected our oil price, and the price of our food has now gone up and it's messing with my budget. We are those people now.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Ladies and gentlemen, you will hear more of her on 959 Breakfast. Her name is Samke Mhlongo, author, financial expert, wealth coach. Dango.
Thank you.
Awesome.